Well, a very good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Palace fans throughout the world. Welcome again to another edition of the Red and Blue Review podcast. With me, Ian Noble, your host this evening, sitting in for the sick note, that is Nick Philpott, who I think won't be driving a bus anytime soon around South London because he really isn't very well. If you're watching tonight, Nick, get well soon, and we hope to see you back on the show very, very soon. So a happy bonfire night as well to everyone. I've got fireworks going off outside my window. So if it gets a bit noisy, that's why. And it's probably the same where you are. Whether we're going to have any fireworks or anything like that on the show tonight remains to be seen. But joining me on tonight's show, we have a sort of international flavour to our panel. And all the way from Ireland, we have Fergus Tigg. Good evening, Ferg. How are you?
Evening. I'm very well, thank you. Evening, everybody.
Jolly good. And representing Scotland, of course, the legend, that is Jim Cannon. Hello, Jim.
Good evening. Hope you're all well.
Yeah, we're all well. Good to see you, Jim. Thanks for joining us again. You've become a real staple on this show. So thank you very much for joining us again this evening. And a face that you won't have seen for a little while, of course, the Antipodean Palace expert from Down Under in Melbourne, Australia. Good morning, Aaron Mayers. How are you?
Good morning, everybody, and good evening over there. And yeah, hello.
Good morning.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. That's right. So tell us, for anyone watching that doesn't know about you and where you are, tell us where you are, what the temperature is outside, what time of day it is, and all that kind of stuff very quickly.
Yeah, so it is literally just turned 7 o'clock in the morning, and I think it's about 25 outside at the moment, but I know it's going to be about 30, 32 today. So, shorts and T-shirts for me at work now for the next probably 6 months.
Brilliant stuff. And, just outside Melbourne, yeah?
Yes, yeah, literally, about 20 minutes, half hour. So, yeah, it's
good,
nice and sunny morning and make it even better with 3 points. So, let's go to work.
There we are. So the Australian representative, Aaron, is with us today. So that's all good. And, of course, the world's a small place because you don't have to be in the UK to watch the Palace these days. You can watch it anywhere in the world. And very often it's easier to watch the games anywhere else in the world other than in the UK, actually, on
Correct.
Saturday when it's a 3 o'clock kickoff. So coming up on tonight's show, we'll be unpacking, of course, the 3 points earned away at Turf Moor yesterday afternoon. I was there. I'm feeling a little bit jaded. I was out the house about 18 hours or a bit more than that, actually. Left about 5:30, got home just before midnight. So just still recovering from that one. Was it a smash and grab or was it a Roy Hudson tactical defensive masterclass? Plus, we'll announce at least one of the results from the fan advisory board. We have for you tonight a vote. And before we get into all of that, let's just have a think about yesterday's win. And don't forget, of course, I lost my train of thought there, guys. Sorry about that. I lost my train of thought. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. I didn't write these notes. Nick Philpott wrote them. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. This is a great help to us at the Red and Blue Review. It costs you absolutely nothing. And you can listen back, of course, to any of the previous shows or go to our website, redandbluereview.co.uk, or you can simply ask your smart speaker if you have one. I don't have one. But if you've got one, you can say, play the latest Red and Blue Review podcast. And apparently it will play the Red and Blue Review podcast. Thanks to Tom Clark Samuel, who does the Instagram page, red_and_blue_review. For all the stuff he puts on there. I think the quizzes are a bit difficult, actually, Tom. I don't know about anyone else if watching that follows Instagram, but I think they're a bit challenging. So maybe a few easier questions coming up. That would be helpful. So before we get into the game, what I was going to say earlier was that we have the news about the fan advisory board. Of course, our very own Tim Richards has been successful, hasn't he?
I don't think a lot of what you said is particularly fair, Tim.
Oh, yeah. Simon Jordan agrees with you. Of course, yeah. Your biggest fan. Successful, of course. So we're delighted for you, Tim, in all seriousness, that you are representing the gold members on the club's fan advisory board. And we're going to get you back on the show next week. You can tell us more about it next week. This hasn't been announced officially by the club yet, apparently. So we actually don't know who all the other people are. But we do know that Tim has been successful. So well done, mate. congratulations from all of us here. Thank you to everyone joining us in the chat. Good to see you all. Lots of familiar faces. Do comment and join in with the show. Ask your questions, and we'll try to get to some of them later on if we can. Especially if you've got anything for Jim, along the lines of how do you defend as well as we did yesterday. And Jim, I'm sure, has got a view on that as we unpack the game. So let's get into the game. Let's dive into it. Let's have a look at the lineup first of all. And here we are. Check the core there, I think, in that image. Team was unchanged from the lineup that faced Spurs at Selhurst Park a week or so earlier. Johnson in goal, of course. Ward with the armband. Gahey, Anderson and Mitchell make up the back four. Lerma and Doucouré. Ayew. Hughes playing in a sort of advanced midfield role, which was a bit unusual for him. Schlupp and Edouard down the middle. Fergus, you're going to lead on the game for us. The other guys will come in. They've watched bits of it or all of it. Over to you, my friend.
Okay. So you may or may not know, but I think Palace have played Burnley 39 times.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Burnley have won 12. Palace have won 12. We've drawn 15 prior to the game. So we're statistically better than Burnley now. And Burnley had lost their 5 previous home games. And I think they were against teams like Chelsea, Man City, Man United, Villa. So we're in good company. But the game started probably how we all expected it. Burnley thinking, okay, it's Palace. We've got a chance now of crossing that horrible record that they've got and turning us over. And well, the first sort of 20, 25 minutes, it was just a flurry of Burnley attacks and lots of different corners. They had a really good chance very early on, around second or third minute, with a header by Amdouni, which just went wide of the post. And then in the 22nd minute, Palace are completely against the run of play. I mean, we weren't really in the game. We were defending well, but creating very little. We hit Burnley on the break, so it was kind of like a sort of, I don't know what you would call it, a wild kick down the wing, and Ayew.
Well, hang on a minute. Let me stop you there. A wild kick down the wing. This was Anderson.
It was a hopeful kick.
Yeah, it was a punt, I suppose, wasn't it, down the right wing?
It was a punt. Yeah, I mean, it didn't go to Ayew. It went to the Burnley defender. I mean, it wasn't a great pass, so we can call it a punt. But the Burnley defender, who was it? It was Bayer.
Bayer, yeah, number 5. Yeah.
Just made a complete mess of it. And Ayew, like he always does, put pressure on him, forced him into an error, took the ball off him. Nice little swivel, down to the touchline, crosses it, and slaps at the back post. And it's 1-0 Palace, completely against the run of play, but and we'll probably come on to it.
Yeah,
but Ayew had a fantastic game yesterday.
He did. Well, we'll talk more about that in a little while. Q pandemonium in the away end, by the way. It was limbs everywhere. It was pretty cool. So, Aaron, you watched the game live yesterday. Did you watch it live, or did you watch it on catch?
Correct.
You watched it live?
No, live. Yeah,
live. Okay. What were your thoughts in the first 20 minutes that Fergus sort of just give us a few snippets of?
Yeah, I mean, I thought that, I mean, we'll go on to the first 20 minutes. I mean, I still think for the whole game, I think that they were the better team, to be honest. I think that they played pretty well. They just didn't really have any end product. And I think by the looks of how they played, I think Vinny Company would have told them to go out and just absolutely press us. And that's exactly what they did. We had no time on the ball for the first 20 minutes, I think, as everyone would have saw, whoever watched it live. Yeah, it was. They played well, but at the end of the day, that tips us. I think we have a lot more quality than what they do, and I think that comes at the end. We hoof a long ball down the wing. I don't know if I agree with everyone. I think it was more of a hopeful punt to get a bit of the pressure off. But mate, fair play to Ayew. I'm sometimes his biggest critic as well. But he pressed the defender and he made a mistake. And that pressing, that one bit of pressing from us, because I'll be brutally honest, we didn't really press much in the first 20. But that bit of press really forced them into a mistake and, 1-0 straight away. So, again, completely probably against the run of play, but, our pressing forces a mistake. And, again, that's our quality on the end of the ball, and that's what they don't have. So,
Okay. Let me bring Jim in then. Jim, game obviously is different to when you played it, in terms of, what the centre-backs are asked to do these days, playing out from the back a lot more. But what were your thoughts about Anderson's long ball? A defensive masterclass of a pass or a punt? What were your thoughts?
Well, I wouldn't call it a punt. He's probably tried to hit it in the channel and didn't hit it as far as he would normally hit it. And it looked as if the defender was going to get the ball, but Ayew being Ayew didn't give him a chance and thought, I'll get that ball. And he's made a nice little turn, a little swivel, got away from him. And fabulous ball across the box. You could see it. Yeah. And Schlapp was coming in 100 miles an hour. I'd like to have seen one or two other players coming in behind him. Maybe, don't know where Edward was, because not having seen the game, only highlights. Shouldn't the centre forward be getting in there as well? But it was a great ball. And I won't say a punt. I'll say a ball into the channel.
Very good. Thanks, Jim. That's why you're on the show, to bring us all back.
I'll have to remember that, Jim.
Yeah.
I'll have to remember that future game.
It's interesting.
The channel.
Yeah, we'll come to the second goal later on, of course, but he was involved in that one as well, interestingly. Good. Okay. So we're 1-0 up. It's against the run of play, but we took our chance, Fergus.
Yeah, okay. So their left winger, Koleosho, I thought he was there. Outstanding for him yesterday.
Yeah, I was delighted when they took him off in the second half.
Yeah, so I was amazed. Yeah, he really made Wardy work for his money yesterday, and he was the one that was constantly causing threat like down that side. He set Goodmanson up, but in the 29th minute, he whipped a cross in, and Goodmanson put his header just wide of the post, the right-hand post. And then Koleosho again lofted the ball to the left wing. And then it broke into the penalty area. And Anderson, I know, Aaron, you want to talk about this. Anderson's tackle was just sublime, because the guy he had his foot back ready to smash it into the goal. And Anderson just coming from nowhere. And it's just an amazing tackle. Perfectly timed sliding tackle.
Yeah,
what Jim used to do back in the day.
Yeah, what Jim used to do all the time. Aaron, you obviously concur with those comments.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is, to be fair, we all know Wardy's getting a bit older, but I mean, he got absolutely rinsed yesterday. I think teams are looking, because they didn't really come down our left a lot. If you notice that, they always targeted the right, as we know that they're going to do. Wardy is, he's a good defender, but he's lost that couple of yards on that pace. And, you put a youngster up against him like that, who's, pretty quick and good on the ball. He absolutely rinsed him all day. So it's definitely something we need to look at. But that tackle from Anderson is just perfectly timed. I mean, that guy is, if you see it on slow replay, like that, I saw it when it was live, the guy's about to pull the trigger, and he's probably more than likely going to score. And for him, Anderson burst the pace, just come out of nowhere, and that was it's a goal-saving tackle. If they score that, game could turn on its head. We don't know. So brilliant defending from Anderson. Absolutely, he's world class, that geezer.
Absolutely, and Jim, you would support that stance as well, I guess, would you, from what you've seen?
Yeah, well, I mean, as far as Palace are concerned, that was better than a goal sometimes, because he's doing the job that he's supposed to do. But what I like about Anderson is that he don't take any prisoners when he goes in for a ball, and his timing has got to be perfect. And like that one there was spot on.
Yeah, David Hart says Anderson was an angry man yesterday, and he was. There was once or twice they had words, him and Gahey. I don't know if anyone noticed that at the back. So it wasn't all harmony. They were both wanting to win the game, obviously, but both lost it a little bit at times, I think. But what Well, you know, surely nothing goes through your mind other than wanting to win that ball when you go for that kind of challenge, Jim, in the penalty area when the striker's about to pull the trigger. It's just about winning that ball, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's all about timing. You know, like you if you mistime it, especially in this day and age. In my day, I mean, we could take the ball, the player, and anybody else that was near them, and we'd be all right. But nowadays, it's almost as if they're looking for something. That's what annoys me about the game today, or football in general today, especially the Premiership. They're always looking for something. Just let the game go sometimes. It's like, drives you mad. But yeah, he's... I didn't see, well, you said about being angry. That's great. I like to see players. If players are arguing with one another on the park because they want something done a little bit better, that's great. I hate to see all this high fives and knuckles when they sort of make a tackle. That's what you're there for, to make a tackle. You don't need to be congratulated every time.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. I want to just pick up this comment in the chat, if I may, before we carry on with the game, Fergus. Mark Callahan asks, Jim, is Anderson more like you or Billy Gilbert? You know, what do you think?
Probably more like Billy Gilbert. You know,
Right.
Billy was good, really good on the ball. He liked to spray the ball about as well, and he was a hard pass master, and he got stuck in. You know, and that's what I like about Anderson. You know, a few times you see him go in for balls, and because his timing's good, he's always going to get the ball, but he'll take the player as well.
Indeed. Good stuff. All right. Well, we could talk a lot more about that, and we will, I'm sure, as we carry on talking about the game. So, Fergus, pick us up. Whereabouts are we in this game? I've lost track.
Well, we're just coming up to half time now, and Burnley had one more chance before they went in, and again, it's that Calais show. They took a really quick free kick and he let fly. And Johnson had to push his effort to safety. So, it's a constant thorn in our side in that first half.
Yeah. He's 18 years old, that lad, by the way. I was talking to some Burnley fans after the game. And he's been in and out the side this season. But he's only 18. So, interesting. What happened at half-time?
Well, I don't know. I mean, something happened with Ayew and who was it?
Gahey. Gahey was the one.
Gahey.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if Ayew had said something to the ref, and I don't know whether it was for dissent. Both yellow cards for dissent.
Was it Ayew? Was it Lerma? I thought
it was so basically because that was it. Where I was watching it live, they come on and even the commentators didn't know what the hell both of them got booked for. But then when the second half just kicked off, they both come on and said that it was Ayew and Gurhey that got booked, and it was both for dissent.
Yeah,
for dissent. So they both said something to the ref that I believe that they shouldn't. Because if you saw Gurhey, I know you was in the ground here, and I don't know if you would have seen it, but as Gurhey's going off, he's absolutely steaming at the referee.
He was, yeah. He had to be pulled away, didn't he? I think Paddy McCarthy got in there, didn't he?
I think what happened was Ayew had said something and he'd been booked. Guy didn't agree with it, and I think although I don't know, Ward was the captain yesterday, wasn't he? But I think Guy takes it upon himself to be, I'm the leader, and I think he obviously went and said something to the ref, and the ref just booked him as well. So it's almost like you can't even challenge the ref now. You can't even have a conversation. Without the ref getting upset and booking you.
Yeah, this is crazy. It's just this season, isn't it? They've tightened up. I suppose there's got to be some element of managing the dissent aspect in the game, but I think they've taken it too far. Myself, Jim, would you? Let me just bring Jim in, Aaron, if I may. What are your thoughts on this change and shift this season?
Well, you never know what a referee's going to do these days, do you? I mean, I watched the Arsenal-Newcastle game, and one of the Arsenal players took out one of the Newcastle players, both feet off the floor. I mean, he didn't connect hard with him, but the referee booked 3 Newcastle players for doing what you should do, saying, come on, ref, what's going on here? He should be sent off for that. And I couldn't believe it. He booked 3 Newcastle players, one after the other, and is that Havertz or whatever just got a booking? It's right, it's a stupid that rule and like the kicking the ball away. I mean, you knock the ball a couple of yards in the book, and again, it's almost as if I always thought when I played, a lot of the referees were good, but there was some that were like school teachers, and you just could. It was just their attitude, and I think a lot of the referees at the moment are a bit like that. It's like school teacher with pupils. You can't talk to me like that, but you. Ridiculous. Common sense would prevail.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. Tony Quinn says the ref visibly said to Mark Gahey, do you want another, once he booked him once, because he carried on. And that's where Paddy McCarthy dragged him away. And that's what the coaching staff should have been doing. It was half time. They could have get involved. So I'm pleased he did that. And from the away end, it was difficult to tell who was being booked. You knew it was Mark Gahey, but I didn't know who else was booked. Initially, I thought it was Joel Ward because he was in there as captain, but it wasn't him. It was Ayew, as you've quite rightly said.
So Dawn Palace in the comments, Ian, has said that it's to do with the free kick being taken before the referee's whistle.
Yeah.
So that quick free kick that Burnley had a shot from, and Johnson had to save. Sense. I think that's probably what they went over and spoke to him about.
Yeah, that makes sense, doesn't it? It makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Aaron, did you want to come in to say?
Yeah, I was just going to say the ref in, and Mark Callaghan says it, no consistency. The ref yesterday, I thought, had a very poor game. To be honest, he was brandishing yellow cards out even at the end of the game, like they were just going out of fashion yesterday. To us, exactly. But there was nothing. Yeah, there was nothing going the way of Burnley. I mean, they made some challenges. I won't say they made any awful challenges, but there was a lot of stuff that was going their way, and then. We've kept telling Sam Johnston to hurry up. I know we were in the lead, but that was for the whole game. They were even doing that in the first half. So the consistency from the ref yesterday was terrible, and I thought it was very one-sided. That's how it felt on the box anyway.
Yeah, and it felt like that in the away end as well, mate. I can assure you. Peter Banks was the referee yesterday, and it was all about him, wasn't it? Really, at times, which I thought was disappointing for sure. Okay, so we get to half time. We're 1-0 up at half time.
Yeah. Okay. So the next highlight, I guess, in the second half was Eberechi Eze coming on for Decore. I know Dave Hart was at the game yesterday, and then he put something up to say that he'd spoken to Roy after the game, and Decore was injured, and that was the reason why he came off. Because up until then, I thought he was probably one of our best players. Taking off one of your best midfield players so early in the second half was a bit disconcerting, but it's Eze coming on, so you're like, okay, decent substitute to come on.
And what happened then was Will Hughes dropped back, didn't he?
He did, dropped back. Yeah,
it was more of a holding role. Let Eze play in the number 10. Yeah.
And I'll be honest with him. We'll go through all the highlights of the second half, but I don't think. I mean, obviously. It's his first game back from injury, and he didn't really have much of an impact in the second half when he came on, up until
only an assist.
The final few minutes. But yeah, so Burnley had another chance. 60th minute, a Kaliasho, he's leading the charge again, and he cut the ball back to Goodmanson, and he had that side foot, didn't he? And it was easier to score than miss, I think.
They should have scored that, shouldn't they?
Yeah, and he put it wide, so we were living dangerously then. And then a couple of minutes later, they get the ball in the back of the net, Burnley. Rodriguez, is it Rodriguez? I think. And at Calesio again, he takes a shot, and it's a tame shot, and it falls to Jay Rodriguez, and he swivels and smashes it into the goal. But I mean, when they played it back on the TV, it was about 4 yards offside. I mean,
it was miles off, and he knew it as well.
He did, yeah. And then Palace made a few substitutions in the 70th minute. So Hamada came on for Schlupp, and Kleiny came on for Ward. And we probably want to talk about this because, for once, I think Roy recognised that Ward was probably a little bit out of his depth with this Kaliasho on that left-hand side, and just thought, right, I need somebody who's got a little bit more pace that can deal with it. And I was quite pleased to see Ward go off. I mean, he's a great player, Ward, but I think there's certain games where if you identify he's struggling, it's probably best to take him off just to reduce the risk of us conceding.
Let me stop you there, Fergus. And let me stop you there. Can I bring Jim in, if I may, here? Jim, you didn't see the whole game, but Joel Ward was getting beaten at every opportunity by this young winger yesterday, it seemed. Joel Ward, his strength is sort of sometimes in the air, and he was cutting out some of the cross balls and that kind of stuff you'd expect him to do. He was getting beaten far too often. Do you think that's would you go with Roy? He's done the right thing there to have taken him off with 20 minutes to go when we're defending a narrow margin?
Yeah, well, he's brought another player that's probably quicker than him. Certainly will have more energy because he's been sitting about for 60 minutes. So I think it's just the case sometimes you bring somebody on fresh legs. Mm-hmm. And, people are going to pick out Joel Ward purely because of his age, maybe. He's played a lot of games for a lot of years, and teams will pick your weakness wherever it is, anywhere in the park. And especially when they've got a young lad like that who's really quick, then they're going to be saying to him, take him on all day long. Because every time you get the ball, take him on. So, yeah, in them situations, you always want your right-sided midfield player to give you a little bit of a hand, double up, because it happens quite a lot, and you get two players around the ball to take the pressure off them a little bit. But, yeah, fresh legs, a good player, bit more pace, and that's what managers and coaches should be doing.
Yeah, and I feel sorry for Wardy a little bit because clearly he's been a super servant to the club. And I wouldn't want to see his good name tarnished because he had too many bad games. Does that make sense? And I don't think we'll see that, but hopefully Roy will protect him from that and make sure that if he does have a bad game again, that he replaces him, and we've got a plan B to cover that right back slot. But I think it is a problem area for us. I think we do need. We've been saying it for a while now, because Klein is only a couple of years younger than Joel Ward himself, isn't he? He's no springing chicken himself. But I think it was the fresh legs element yesterday, which was important. And then someone said in the chat, actually, Klein was standing off the winger quite a bit, and then they took him off. Phew, that was good. And they were less threatening when they took the lad off. But there we are. Sorry, we digress, Fergus.
No, it's okay. There was a few chances for Burnley after those substitutions. Bramhill had a shot from 25 yards, which Johnson saved. The ball looked like it was moving in the air, so it was a little bit more difficult than you thought it might be. And another good save from Johnson. And then Rodriguez lost his marker from a corner. How many corners did Burnley have yesterday? It was just mental. He had a header at the near post, and again another great save from Johnson. Obviously had a good game, kept us in the game, kept us another clean sheet, and that's our fifth now, isn't it? We've got to be right up there at the top. Out of how many games? 10, 11 games? 5 clean sheets.
11 games played, 5 clean sheets. Only Arsenal have kept more, I think.
Great stat. Then around about 84th, 85th, Ed Bard got injured. He went down. He managed to get up and he walked back round and he came back on, but he didn't look comfortable. So they made a substitution straight away and brought Chris Richards on, which, again, protecting the lead, so decent substitution.
But
then I think Burnley had one.
It was real defensive. It was a real defensive. Protect the lead, wasn't it? That you take your centre forward off and bring your centre back on. Goodness me,
Yeah, but then when he took the Corway off and put Eze on, I think it balanced it out. Really, when you think about it, so it wasn't too risky, but it just meant we had another centre back, and with all the corners that Burnley were having, you were just thinking one of them is going to pay off at some point.
Sure. And I like Chris Richards, and I'm just sad that he hasn't got more minutes actually, because I thought I digress again. I thought he played really well at Villa when he had to deputise. Aside from the fact that he gave that penalty away, which I still maintain wasn't a penalty, but he's a good player. And he's covering the strongest position we have on the pitch. The two centre backs. But there we are. Yeah. Anyway, so Chris Richards comes on for Edouard in the 86th minute.
Yeah, and then Burnley have one more chance. O'Shea meets across in the box on the right wing, and his downward header's creeping into the bottom corner. And again, Johnson gets down, pushes it out. Another great save. And then 90 plus 4, and I'm going to call it a ball down the channel.
A ball down the channel. A punt down the
channel.
No.
And I think it was Taylor who kind of tried to loft the ball back up the park. And it was nodded down to Eze. And that was just a sublime pass, wasn't it? And I think it was Ahmada and Tyrek Mitchell were both running onto it, but it fell to Tyrek Mitchell. And left-footed, bottom right-hand corner, fantastic goal. And considering his last goal was 902 days ago against Villa, and he scored with his shoulder for that one, I bet he was very happy with yesterday's contribution, because that's his first proper goal scoring with his foot.
And also, it was also in front of a crowd, because when he scored first time, it was during COVID, wasn't it? And there was no crowd. So put the game to bed, and the celebrations on the touchline I was quite happy with as well. Because Paddy McCarthy and Ray Lewington and Hudson, all that hugging each other and high-fiving, and the relief, I think, realising that they'd won the game. We picked up the 3 points. Yeah.
Fifth clean sheet of the season, like I said. It meant Burnley have set a record of 6 losses at home. I think the record is 7, which is held by Mick McCarthy. So I think Burnley's next home game's West Ham. So they're going to have to try and
good.
Do something about that.
Thank you, Fergus. We'll thank you very much indeed for covering all that. Let's just put that picture back, Nigel, of the players celebrating, can we? Right at the end. How happy do they look? How important was that second goal to ensure we got the 3 points? I've seen something in the chat saying the result was more important than the performance. Yes, I agree totally. Listen, football is a results business. It almost doesn't matter about the stats, and we'll come to these in a sec. It's the only stat that matters is the fact that we scored 2 goals and they didn't score any. You were watching the game live, Aaron. How did you celebrate the second goal? Punch the light bulb or something, or
It was I think probably at about full time. It's nearly 3:30, 4 a.m. over here. So
was it okay?
I don't I don't think the missus would have been best pleased with my screaming at the 2-0. But there was a lot of screaming and shouting. There always is. She has to expect that one now. But no, it was a good, like as you say. I don't think it was our best performance. Nowhere near it. But at the end of the day, that tells us apart from them. And that them teams around the bottom, I'm sure we'll look at the table soon. But I think, as you said, great quote from Roy there. It doesn't really feel like a 2-0 game from one point of view. To be fair, it didn't need it to be. It needed to be a victory, and that's what we got. And that's exactly what happened. It wasn't a game of quality, but we stuck it in the back of the net, and they didn't. So we take the 3 points back to Selhurst, and we're very happy with that.
Yep, and it leaves Crystal Palace sitting in 10th place in the Premier League. Having played 11 games on 15 points with a -3 goal difference. And you look at 11 games in, would we have taken that, Jim, if you'd have been offered that before a ball was kicked and said after 11 games we'll be 10th in the Premier League? Would you have taken that?
Yeah, I think you would do, wouldn't you? Like 15 points. You always say get halfway through the season, you got to be on that 20-point mark. So. And we spoke last week about the games coming up, the teams that are in and around us, and we've got a great chance to even better that. So and it doesn't matter how well or how bad you play. 10 crappy games, 10 wins, you're ecstatic. It's when you play well and don't win when people start moaning.
Yeah, and that's happened to us, hasn't it? You know, time and time again. You know, I've lost count the number of times I've seen us play well and been unlucky not to get anything from the game. So, you know, it does all even itself out over the course of a season. I'm pretty convinced about that. Thanks, Jim. Nice. Just let's get the stats up, the final stats of the game, because they are quite telling. So, slightly different format this time. So, Burnley had 17 shots on goal. We just had the 4. 5 of those only were on target, 3 of ours. Here, 2/3 possession to Burnley, to our 1/3. They had 578 completed passes to our 295, which is incredible. 84% pass accuracy. Ours was lower than that. We fouled more. And this is the stat that got me, and we've touched on it earlier. 5 yellow cards. He didn't book any of their players at all. And then the corners, very telling. 12 corners. In the first half, at one point, I thought, how many corners are they going to have? They just kept getting corner after corner after corner. And we got a single corner, which we didn't do much with. So there's the stats of the game. Any of that surprise you, anyone, from what you saw? No?
No, I mean, to be fair, like as you say, going back onto our league position, Nathan makes a good point. Would we have taken our league position and the points we've got with all the injuries we've had as well? I mean, let's think about that. We've nowhere bit. We're not at full strength, are we? We're nowhere near it at the moment. So to be in the position we're in, I think tells the quality of the league this year as well. I think we brushed on that obviously at the start of the season. We know there are a few teams down the bottom where, you know, that they haven't got the quality, like Burnley, which showed yesterday, but we haven't got a full strength side, and I think when we do, at least we can start to look to push on it a little bit more.
Yeah, thanks, Aaron. And you know, Fergus touched on this. Travelled up with Dave Hart yesterday. He came back in first class. I travelled back cattle. So because he was first class with Grant, they had a little chat with some of the players on the platform. And we hear that Michael Elise is likely to be in the squad next weekend for the visit of Everton to Selhurst. Eberechi Eze told him that he's feeling good. No reaction at all, having played his cameo yesterday, so that's good. And Czech Decore was indeed taken off precautionary because he picked up a knock. And it's not too bad. So, you know, it's nice to have a little insight, isn't it? I also understand that Roy was looking at the platform and he turned out, he said, where's the train then? I can't see the train. Now, Roy, it comes in from Scotland and then we get on it. Apparently, he expected it to be there waiting for him at Preston, but it didn't happen like that. So, did make me smile. Poor old Roy. There we go. One thing that I did talk about yesterday quite a lot, Roy, we talked about this on last week's show. Roy got some stick, didn't he, last week after the Tottenham game because of what he said about the substitutes not making an impact on the game, the young substitutes. And to be fair to him, he apologised in the week. He said he shouldn't have said what he said. And that was great that he was able to come out and apologise. Jim, if you were Roy Hodgson, does he have to face the media as much as he does? Or could he delegate some of that to someone like Paddy McCarthy? It can't be that enjoyable to face a bank of journalists week after week that are just trying to trip you up and ask you those difficult questions to get some kind of headline.
Well, I don't think they've got a choice in the Premiership. I think they've got to. And you can send, I would imagine, your sort of second in command out now and again. But I think the terms and conditions of Sky means that the manager's got to come out. And you did support Roy last week.
I did.
He's a manager. He's entitled to say what he wants. But it was really nice that he actually come out. I mean, there's not a lot of people who've done that because, as you're rightly, he's a manager. He can say what he wants. But I think when he saw it in the cold light of day, he probably thought, "Oh, that was maybe wrong of me." So, hands up to him. I thought that was brilliant. He came out, totally apologised, spoke to the kids, and I think, like you're saying there, after the game, you know, sometimes like you say things because you're really annoyed, and it probably just came out the wrong way when he said it. But the minute he said it, people just spin it and it suddenly looks 10 times worse than it is.
Absolutely, Jim. So, yeah, well said. Well said. Good. Okay. So, thanks, guys, for the game review. All good. 3 points on the road, 2 goals, and takes us up to 10th in the Premier League, as we've already said. So, let me just cover off, if I may, the other teams. Joan Wells has said in the chat this evening, the other teams have done well this last week. So, let me cover that off now. The under-21s. Last Monday, the 30th of October, in the Premier League 2 Division 1. They beat West Brom 3-0 at the VBS Community Stadium. And then on Friday evening, just a little close game, this one. They put just the 7 goals past Leeds for the return of 1 goal. Also in the Premier League, that was away up in Yorkshire. So, yeah, tremendous results for the lads, especially that 7-1 dropping of Leeds. And then their next match is an EFL trophy match. This is this coming Tuesday. It's away to Wimbledon at the Cherry Red Record Stadium. I think that's Wimbledon's ground, isn't it? That's what they call it now. The new Plough Lane or something. So if you're in the area, if you live around Wimbledon, Tuesday night, 7 o'clock kickoff, I'm told, on the 7th of November. And then the under-18s were in action as well on Saturday morning, and they were away to Spurs, and they won 5-2. So fantastic win at the Tottenham Hotspur Training Centre, and congratulations to them. And their next game is a Premier League Cup match against Ipswich Town on Friday the 10th, 7 p.m. kickoff, again down at Sutton United's ground. And then today, our women were in action in the Women's Championship, and they won 3-0 away to Watford. So well done to you, ladies. And next up, they play Lewis Town next Sunday, the 12th of November, at 2 p.m. kickoff, again at the VBS Community Stadium. And they now sit 4th in the Women's Championship, having played a game less than everybody else. So it could be a good season. I think it's just the top team that goes up. Liverpool won that division last season, now playing the Women's Premier League. So it'd be really good to have them in the Premier League, wouldn't it, for next season? So well done, ladies. Okay, so where are we going next? Just a reminder, we had Lindsay on from the DSA a few weeks ago, and this silent auction for Joel Ward's left boot. It is signed, of course. It ends on the 12th of November, next Sunday at 9 p.m. Bids must be sent to info@cpfcdsa.org, no less than £250, and all proceeds to raise vital funds for the Disabled Supporters Association. So if you fancy a bit of memorabilia, Joel Ward's left boot signed, it's a blue one, then get your bid in. They'll be pleased to receive it. Loan Watch next. So how did our players get on that have been out on loan? We will start to look at this on the Red and Blue Review. David Boateng came on from the bench, came off the bench rather, at half-time for Dundee in a 1-0 home win against Livingston. Killian Phillips then played full 90 minutes for Wickham in a 2-1 away win against Bradford City in the FA Cup. It was the FA Cup first round this weekend. And he scored the first goal after 18 minutes and then was booked 10 minutes from the end. Owen Goodman, he played the full 90 for Colchester, letting in 3 as they lost 3-2 to Shrewsbury Town, also in the FA Cup. Then John Kamani Gordon, he played the full 90 for Cambridge United in a 2-1 home win against Bracknell Town in the Cup. And Luke Plange came off the bench for Carlisle in the last few minutes in a 3-1 defeat away at Leyton Orient, also in the FA Cup. And do we know the final Clowns score today? They were playing 1-1, was it? Okay. And who was it they were playing against? Some non-league team I never heard of. Cray Wanderers.
Paper Mill.
Cray Paper Mills. I mean,
Cray Bailey Paper Mills, I think.
You've just got to laugh, haven't you? You know, they can't even beat them in the first round. So who's laughing now?
The upsetting thing is, if Cray Bailey had won today, that would have been an FA Cup record for the lowest non-league team beating a league team.
Who knew that?
They came pretty
Good
close.
research.
Yeah.
So what league do they play
pretty
in?
close. I think they're the same league as Lewis. I think.
Are they?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to check. But
so this is about what, 8th or 9th tier?
8th. I think it's 8th. Yeah.
8th, is it? Yeah. Okay. You played in the early rounds of the FA Cup, Jim, haven't you? Down the years. First round?
Yeah. We've had to play. I think when we got to the semi-final in '76, we played Scarborough, who were non-league team.
That was the third round, I think.
Was it? But
Yeah,
I'll tell you what, they're not easy games when you come up against these teams. Not easy.
I'll tell you who did play. I think it was in the first round of that cup run. Someone will correct me if I'm wrong.
We played Mitcham.
Walton Hersham. Played Walton Hersham?
Yeah, probably was. We definitely played a non-league side. I remember that.
How do players go about that? When you're professional footballers, you're getting paid, good money to play football. And you play a non-league team. It's probably a little bit different now. Again, I know I keep saying that, but do you apply yourself in the same way, or is there any kind of different attitude? Or
no, I think you're sort of well advised that this is their sort of cup final, and the easiest thing to do is go out. Human nature says that this is going to be a walkover, but if you have that attitude and you go on the park, then you're going to be in trouble. So we always went about it as if we were playing Manchester United, and hopefully you get on top early on and it would be an easy game, but it doesn't always work like that.
No, indeed. So someone says, Paul Britt says, Cray Valley Paper Mills play in Eltham. Okay, didn't know that. Aaron.
Yes. So Cray Valley, just to put this into some context, as Paul just said as well, and they also play in the same league. So 8th tier, I believe, or 9th, and they play in the same league as Beckenham. So there you go. There's some context for you. There you go.
And unfortunately,
go on, Ferg.
I was going to say, unfortunately, Bobley went out yesterday, didn't they, to Blackpool?
Yeah. My cousin was at that game. They lost 2-0 at home to Blackpool, did Bromley. But so they've got a replay, and the first game was at the Valley, was it? And then they go back to Cray Valley's paper mill.
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't stop laughing about this.
And the winner plays away.
Oh, they've done the draw already. Okay. So I'll tell you what, that wouldn't be a bad third round tie, would it? The winner of that tie in the third round. I get excited about the FA Cup when it gets to the second round draw, and then who's going to get who, and then they play the second round. Then the third round draw. It's a great day, that third round draw. See who we're going to get. I just hope it's not another Premier League team away or some long old trip that's going to take forever.
There's always someone in the North East. It's always Newcastle, Sunderland, or Middlesbrough.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. There we go. All right. Okay. Good. Right. Before we get to the FA Cup, we've got some important Premier League games still to play between now and Christmas. So this is what we've got coming up. Everton are the visitors to Sellers Park next Saturday afternoon. And isn't it going to be nice to play a game on Remembrance Day itself, Armistice Day, next Saturday? And we can pay our respects before kickoff, I'm sure, again. Everyone inside Sellers Park. So 3:00 next Saturday, Everton are the visitors. And then we have an international break. So the weekend after that, it's actually my birthday that weekend. And I'm really pleased that Palace cannot ruin my birthday weekend. So that's good. And then the weekend after that, we go to Luton Town, which is one of their most eagerly anticipated away games because Luton haven't been in the Premier League for such a long time, or never. But they haven't been in the top flight for such a long time. And tickets for that one are like sort of the proverbial gold dust, or they will be when they go on sale. Palace, put your finger out and get them on sale soon. They should be on sale by now, according to my book. And then the weekend after that, we are away at West Ham on a Sunday. And that's because West Ham play in Europe on the Thursday night. But Sky have also chosen to cover that game and it's a 2:00 kickoff away at the Taxpayers Stadium. And then we go midweek. So it's going to be a really busy time for the Premier League and the players. It's Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday for us in that week. So within 7 days, we play 3 games of Premier League football. Bournemouth are the visitors to Sellers Park for a 7:30 kickoff. That one's on Amazon Prime, I think. If you're not at the game itself, you can watch it live on TV. And then we come to the early game at the weekend, the early kickoff Saturday lunchtime on the 9th of December. Liverpool are the visitors to Selhurst, and that one's on TNT Sports. Before we go to Man City, and that's always a good away day, the sort of Saturday or two before Christmas, a 3 o'clock job. Then after that, our graphics don't go beyond that, but then we play Brighton on a Thursday. So we've got 7 games between now and Christmas. So my question, guys, 21 points up for grab. How many points are we going to add to our current tally of 15 between now and Christmas? Do you want some time to think about it? Get a bit of paper out and work it out. 7 games, 21 points available. We've got some tough games in there. Let's get the graphic back, Nige, can we? Just a sec. These next few look pretty good. So, when we look at what's coming up, Everton, Luton, West Ham, Bournemouth, problem with any of them really, but then the fixtures turn for us, don't they? They get really hard. Liverpool, Manchester City, Brighton are no easy opposition this day and age. And then after Christmas, we're away at Chelsea on the 27th of December. So the fixtures do turn at that point. How many points are we getting out of 21 between now and Christmas? Fergus, Tid.
1, 2, 3. I'll go 14.
14. Okay. Aaron's
Liverpool drew with Luton today.
Yeah.
So, us at home to Liverpool, it doesn't look as daunting as it did.
Oh well, that's an interesting way of looking at it, because some might say, "Blimey, Luton played well." That's not a gimme, is it? When we go to there in a few weeks' time, so I'll tell you what, I did watch some of that this afternoon, and they've got a left winger that's sort of electric pace as well, which worries me a little bit. Aaron, what are your thoughts about those next 7 games?
I'll go with a solid 10.
10 points. Jim, I've got to come to you then.
I would like to say 12. The 4 games coming up are all very winnable. But then you look at Luton's result against Liverpool and you think, maybe even a draw there. It's a tight little ground. Plus Everton have started picking themselves up. And let's face it, we're not playing well. We haven't really done anything in the last, we've had a couple of decent results, but as a team, we're not playing anywhere near we played towards the end of the season. And so if we got 12 points, I think I would be, that'd be a great result, I think.
Yeah, that'll take us to 27, and that or 20. Yeah, that'll take us to 27. So that would be comfortable going into Christmas, wouldn't it? I think. Far more pessimistic in the chat. A lot of people are saying 6, 8. Someone wants a beer with you, Fergus, for 14 points. Saying no chance. But if Elise does come back and turns on the burners, and Eze starts doing the business as well again, we could look very, very different. The thing about this league and the thing about football in general is that things change so quick, don't they? They change so quickly. And just who knows what the next games are going to hold. It could be really good. It could be really bad. It probably will end up being something in the middle, Ferg.
I was just going to say, some of those harder games, these teams have got to play in Europe. So, that should be an advantage to us.
Yeah.
I know Man City away is always going to be difficult, but home to Liverpool, home to Brighton, we should be looking to win there.
Yeah, and West Ham away. West Ham have just lost to Everton. They've just lost to Brentford. They've got some good players, but they're not a team to be feared necessarily. And we've got a good record there as well. Won their last season.
I was about to say, we always do pretty well away down there, don't we? So,
we do.
I'd have to look back. I can't remember a time where we've had a negative result actually down down there. So I always fancy us. Unfortunately, I've got the other half of my family support West Ham, so I do like getting one over on them. It does make me pretty happy, that's for sure.
That's right. They still haven't forgiven us for that playoff final in Cardiff in 2004, I think, when they thought they'd won it before a ball was kicked. But there we are. Such is life. Good stuff.
And I think, and I think as well, just for we will be definitely up for the Everton game. I know, well, the fans will be after their absolute wild scenes and celebrations from last season, if I'm correct, where they nearly, thought it was that comeback was pretty hard to take. I remember sitting on the sofa watching that one with my head in my hand. So I think we'll be up for that one, that's for sure. Yeah,
that was at the end of the season before last, wasn't it? That was yeah. I was at that game. It was horrible. But there we are. So no love lost between Palace and Everton down the years, of course, and hopefully, I mean, they're playing well as well at the moment, but hopefully we can do well. So let's get your predictions for. Let's get your predictions for the game itself. Fergus, how are we going to get on? Someone's dog's barking. Whose dog's that?
Mine, sorry. Mine.
It's all right, yeah.
It's the fireworks. 2-1. I'm going 2-1. 2-1 Palace.
Yeah, 2-1 to the Palace. Aaron?
2-0 Palace.
2-0. And Jim?
Well, I'll be happy with 1-0.
1-0. Good stuff. Jim, are you working next Saturday?
Yes, I'll be there. Yeah, most of the time I'm there. I just hope. I mean, I don't understand this Edward playing up front, because especially against a team like Everton, with their big centre halves, every time the ball goes up there, it's going to come straight back, and then we're either defending or try to win it back again. I don't know why. I think I said it last week. Why don't he play Jordan Ayew up front? He's the only player in that team that can hold the ball up. It's not as if Edward's great in the air. I would push maybe Sloppy out wide on the right, Edward on the left. But unless we've got somebody that can hold the ball up and bring our other players into the game, then I think that's why we're really struggling at home. Because every time the ball goes up front, it's coming straight back. And you never get any sort of consistency, or you can never build on anything. And you remember last year, as soon as Roy came in, he put Jordan Ayew up front and then totally transformed it. He was actually scoring a few goals, but he was holding the ball up, laying it off. People were making runs off of him, and you were getting somewhere. And while Edward's up front as a lone centre forward, we're never going to get anywhere.
Well, you've got some support in the chat. Jonathan Cook says, bang on, Jim. So spot on. But, to be fair, Edouard, I think he's better than Mateta in the air. He does flick a ball on, but you need someone at the end of it.
He's better than Mateta, but he doesn't hold the ball up, and he hasn't got any pace. So, like, when the ball's going in behind people, he can't really get away from anybody. So, I mean, he is better than Mateta, but that's not asking a lot, is it?
Well, no, it's not. And you got a lot of support and a lot of agreement in the chat, Jim, for what you just said. So thank you for that. But of course, if we do get Elise back and he puts Elise on the right, I don't think he's going to drop Jordan Ayew. So you might get your wish.
Hopefully that will be the case. Yeah.
So we shall see. We shall see. We will find out at 2 p.m. next Saturday afternoon what the team selection is.
It'll be the same. It'll be the same team, 100%. Roy don't change much.
Jim, being the ambassador that you are for this club, you'll be supportive of Roy, whatever he chooses, I'm sure, So.
Well, yeah. I mean, you just want to be win, don't you? So.
Yeah. Good stuff. All right. Okay. Look, guys, we're just coming up to 9 o'clock. We've been going an hour. I want to thank everyone for joining us in the chat tonight. Sorry we haven't got to everyone's questions, but we couldn't do this show without you guys. So thanks so much for joining us. Thank you to Fergus Tid for coming on, as always, to give us an insightful view of the match. And to Jim, the legend, Jim Cannon, for giving up your time, Jim. We're very grateful to have you on. It's always a pleasure. And to young Aaron. So thanks for joining us from down under, my friend. Enjoy your Monday. We're all going to go off and have a kick now. And you're going to be working in the 30 degrees. So lovely.
Yeah, sounds great, doesn't it?
Good stuff.
All good.
Okay. Good night, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Cheers.
Yeah, cheers.
Good night, all.
See ya.